All right, well, good day, everyone, and welcome to another episode of No Highway Option. I'm one of your hosts, Canna.
I'm Luke.
We don't have to do the accent. It's
Good eye, mate.
oh boy.
And joining us today.
Our guest today is comedian Tom Roche. He didn't get a chance to introduce himself because his microphone didn't record the first few minutes of this episode, but he'll pop in very soon. Sorry that we had these weird audio glitches 2 times in a row, but this one, the episode is listenable and it's great. This week, suggested by Corey, we watched Kangaroo Jack, and it's an interesting little film where time does not work correctly, because the thing on my screen said it was 80 minutes long, but I was sitting there for 3 days trying to watch it.
This is rough. Yeah, this is cereal in this movie. It's a weird thing. I guess that's kind of way ahead, but like...
Oh yeah, that
the
pops
Fruity
in
Pebbles
for
thing,
like 1 second.
The thing that was wild was they smelled it and they were like, oh my god, I love Fruity Pebbles. What woman wouldn't pay to have a perfume like this?
Fruity Pebbles.
And what woman would?
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, like, Fruity Pebbles taste good or whatever, but I've never been like, I wish my scent, my aura was fucking Fruity Pebbles. Like, it entered the room before me.
And they kind of just smell like sugar.
Yeah.
My problem with Fruity Pebbles is if you don't eat it in like 6 seconds, it becomes eating a bowl of wet confetti.
Fair.
Like, it's got the multicolors, it's like all flopping around, and it's a weird mush. We're avoiding talking about Kangaroo Jack so hard.
It's fair.
But I don't want to step on the empty bowl's toes. That's a cereal podcast that I listen to.
Oh, that's right. You have that cereal thing.
It's an interesting show. Anyway, so let's, I guess, go through what is the second Jerry Bruckheimer movie on this show after G-Force. So, like, we're really getting the hits.
I saw that and I was like, this is a National Treasure guy?
Well, he's the producer, but, like, National Treasure, Armageddon, Pirates of the Caribbean, like, he has a lot of good ones. And then the 2 we've watched are Kangaroo Jack and G-Force.
Listen, I hated G-Force.
I did too, but I think this is the worst thing we've watched. I
would watch G-Force every day for a week before I watched this movie again.
Wow. All right, well, it starts out where Lewis saves Charlie from drowning.
With a beach full of the laziest extras I've ever seen.
I just got distracted by Charlie starts to drown, so Lewis runs to save him, and they start playing the Superman theme. Just because they can. Like the 70s Richard Donner Superman whatever.
It was like...
There's another instance of that coming... What were you?
I was just going to say this.
No, there's another... Go ahead.
Another what? Superman?
There's another instance of another movie's iconic theme coming in to play later, and it doesn't make any sense, but...
I don't think I know it. You'll have to tell me later. Well, I mean, when we get there.
Yeah. I thought the Superman thing was stupid, but the only reason I like it is because I like the Superman theme song.
It's a good
song. So I was
song.
like, okay, if I close my eyes, I can enjoy this scene.
It tricks you into thinking you're watching a better movie.
Close my eyes and just imagine this.
So we cut to 20 years later, and now Charlie is Jerry O'Connell, and Lewis is Anthony Anderson. Charlie's mom married a mob boss named Salvatore something, played by Christopher Walken.
I was surprised by that. I was like, holy shit, Christopher Walken's in this movie. Maybe it'll get better. And then it didn't.
It did.
I think that he was like a stunt casting, and they had him for like 2 days based on how much he was in the movie.
I feel like him and Michael Shannon, who plays his right-hand kid, basically, named Frankie, I feel like they shot a totally different movie, and then the producers were like, we don't have a plot for this kangaroo thing. Let's put them in that. Because they're not from the same universe as Charlie and Lewis.
They really aren't. I noticed that his I'm just gonna call him Zod because we were talking about Superman and he played Zod. His whole thing was fucking creepy. Like it was just like, wow, he's literally like from an actual like gangster movie. And Kangaroo Jack was all over the place, which we'll probably say a bunch of times.
Yeah, everybody on the set was like told this movie is rated PG. We are going to market it towards children. And Michael Shannon was just like, no, we're not. I can change this by myself.
He doesn't have like an off switch. He doesn't chill at all, Michael Shannon. And that's like, well, I think that's kind of just his whole shtick, but like, I don't know. He's got kind of like a spooky...
If you watch him in interviews, he's very like relaxed and kind of just like a fun dude with a weird vibe.
Yeah. Relaxed like he's ready to fucking clock you.
But I think it's just whenever someone says action, he's like, every fiber of my being is tense and ready to go.
Does anyone else think of like, you know, when you have two like actors or celebrities and like you connect them in your mind? For some reason, whenever I think of Jerry O'Connell, I think of Dane Cook. I don't know if that's just me, but
they're very similar to each other.
I don't know what it is, but I just...
Dane Cook is like Jerry O'Connell with worse hair. Like the two
I would think of Jerry O'Connell as like the nine. He's nothing like Dane Cook. He just looks like a low budget Dane Cook. Like that's what I see when I see him.
So Lewis and Charlie are best friends, even though Charlie hates it, and Lewis is doing a bunch of sketchy stuff while Charlie is a hairstylist.
A hairstylist in air quotes. Okay, the only thing we see him, he carries scissors around in his back pocket. That's the only connection. When we're in the hair salon, they come in and they talk to him. He loosely sprays hairspray just next to a woman, and that's the only time he does anything.
That's a good point.
It is the stupidest. I feel like they were like, we need to make this character like multi-dimensional and layered. Just like, let's subvert like what is something that a man usually isn't? And they're like, well, like let's make him like a hair salon. Like that's what I pictured. I just pictured they gave him the stupidest thing just to like give him layers, but they went nowhere with it.
Then it was just a cheap joke.
It's supposed to be a joke, yeah. It never works as a joke, but like, haha, my boss' son is hairdresser. It's like proto-Zohan, but not.
With less Adam Sandler charm. Because Charlie's pretty fucking low energy the whole time.
He doesn't want to be there. We got Lewis asks for Charlie's help with picking up some TVs, and that turns out to be sketchy and for the mob family that Christopher Walken works for, and there's a car chase and blah blah blah, and I couldn't have cared less the whole time except for when the TVs fell out, and I was like, oh, that's right, it's 2002, these are CRT TVs. Like, when they kept saying TVs, I kept expecting like big flat screens, and they were just like the chunky square guys.
We're not there yet, yeah.
It was just a bit of disconnect, like, right, I forgot when this came out.
At this point in the movie, I was like still putting effort into trying to enjoy it. So there was a moment where when they delivered the TVs to where it's supposed to go, and you find out that the dude works for Discount Dane's dad, I was like, oh, okay, I see how they're looping this into the story. This might actually go somewhere interesting. I just wanted, like, at that point, like, I thought that was like I was, what's the word? Not benefit of the doubt. I was trying so hard to like enjoy this movie that I was like, okay, like I see how this is connecting. Like maybe this is gonna go somewhere. So, yeah, like I was like looking back, I'm like, that doesn't. There's nothing interesting about that.
You poor innocent soul.
I liked the dog. His name was Waffles. I thought he should have showed up more. I was like, oh man, maybe there's something there, and then he was not.
Yeah, did they go back to him at the? Did they ever show him at the end? Yeah, he's on the boat. Never mind.
I don't even remember the dog. Not in my memory at all.
At one point, the cops get covered in fish from a fish truck. I think that was supposed to be a big laugh, but it was just cops
Back to the
getting
Future
fish.
did it better with the manure and this dude.
Yeah.
First thing that came to mind.
Well, manure is always funnier than fish.
get your omega 3s, right? That's the fish thing. Omega 3s.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Um, so Christopher Walken finds out about the TV thing, and he sends them to Australia to give money to Mr. Smith. And he has a whole monologue, which is insane. I don't know if any of you caught his long and winding Christopher Walken monologue, but one of the lines is, "You would have no doubt slayed the maiden and saved the dragon."
That's a line in Kangaroo Jack.
Yeah, that was Christopher Walken just
What was the line?
monologuing to the two of them.
You would have no doubt slayed the princess and slayed the dragon and saved the princess. Is that what it was?
Slayed the maiden
Slayed,
and saved the
yeah,
dragon.
okay.
Which, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about
He said it so like he said it so angrily. Like it's such a weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
for you.
I didn't
accidentally screwed up
understand that it was an
TVs.
insult because of the words he said.
I don't know why. I
And
don't know why I wanted to like. I hate this movie with a passion. But for some reason, I want to be like, could it like? I hate it so much that as we talk about it, all I can think is it could have been worse. But I still hate it with a passion. I don't know why. Like I want to
don't-
give that line a pass.
Yeah.
Like, I hear it, I'm like, okay, like
And
it's in the right movie. It would have been a good line, but it just because of Kangaroo Jack, it's just anything that they do, like it's just crap.
well, and like the opening of it is a solid okay. Like we're talking about the moments that don't just like pile drive into terrible.
Yeah, it had
yet.
potential in the beginning, and then it turned into.
And
this.
then they go to Australia, and we face plant.
I think it was a weird thing as a whole to be like, all right, he's a gangster, he's in Brooklyn. His plan is to send him to Australia to have another guy kill them. Like, why don't you got full of gangster guys. You got Michael Shannon and his two friends that they picked up outside the mall asking people for cigarettes. Like, why didn't one of them do it? Here.
Yeah, Michael Shannon could honestly probably just like kill them with his bare hands with like one snap.
I think too.
You could tell that's what he wants to do.
It's one of those movies that is, and it's not even because it's dated, because there's so many movies that they hold up well, but this is just one of those movies that whenever I see a scene, I just think like, oh, that's such a cliche joke. I've seen it done a million times, and I've seen it done better. Like on the plane when they're in the bathroom, and I forget exactly, but it's like that whole like sexual innuendo stuff going on while they're in the bathroom, and I just
Right.
thought like, oh, like movies like Austin Powers have done this way, but you know what I mean? Like it's such a thing that's been done before, but I'm like, this is just I would much rather see all the other times this joke has been done. Besides, I really think that's what they did. They just threw it together, a bunch of cliche jokes, and they're like, all right, put a kangaroo in it, and then so we're in Australia.
Yeah, so it was on the plane they discover that the package is full of $50,000. And also Lewis has loose candy in his pocket, like he's a grandmother or something. And
Charlie also hits on that girl, like loosely, but the whole interaction is he's like, "Hey, what's up?" and she says, "Good," and then he makes the dumbest face. Like, and then he walks away.
Is that?
He's like, well,
do we see that?
Yeah,
do we
go
see
to the
that
bathroom
girl
now.
again? Is that the girl in Australia? Like, am I confusing
She hears
both?
them
'Cause
talking about shit in the bathroom, and then she's over it. But like that was
Yeah,
all
she's-
the interaction up to it.
Because like
she's in and out one scene.
the look he gave her was like, oh, she's gonna be, you know, like he gave her that look, and I remember thinking like, oh, she's gonna be a part of this movie. That seemed like a meaningful look, but it was just a fucking stupid face. That's all it was.
It was a meaningful look. Is she Kangaroo Jack?
He was so proud of it. Like,
Yeah, the standing in the bathroom and saying one thing but meaning another, where they're like, wow, can I hold it in my hand? It's so green. I'm so excited about this. I need to put it in my pocket. And everyone's like, they're talking about Dookie. Bad time.
yeah, that went on for a while.
There's
Which,
a
like,
quick.
I don't know. There's other, like Tom was saying, there's other movies where stuff like that could work. Like, if I was watching, like, a Dumb and Dumber, some of that stuff is it's no more like highbrow of a joke, you know?
Mm,
It's just those same guys peeing in a bottle and making stupid noises, but it
yeah,
doesn't work here. Like,
they do a really similar joke in Get Smart, and maybe it's just because I'm nostalgic for Get Smart, but like when I was watching this, I was like, I remember when Steve Carell just is like screaming in a bathroom. I want to go back to that.
I think part of why the jokes don't work either is that like we just don't care about the characters. Like we don't care. Like there's no
yes.
like they don't
Mm.
set them up enough in the beginning for you to care about what happens to them because again they're like so one dimensional. They're just put together like the jokes, so everything falls flat.
They land, and Lewis goes through customs very quickly because he's friendly and having fun, and Charlie gets detained and searched, which is kind of just in and out really quick. I feel like that was a weird cut that like they never bring up again.
I feel like they have an awful lot of airport shenanigans for a movie that takes place in 2003. Like when we were watching it, I was like, "Oh man, is this earlier? Is like maybe
it's
like
like what I was
2000
thinking too.
or 99?"
Yeah, it's right after, but you know, it's Australia. Australia's whatever.
He's carrying just the scissors around the whole time.
He needs to have his scissors in his pocket though, because they're styling scissors.
So you remember that he's a hairdresser, sort of.
Just in case he needs to emergency haircut.
I wonder if they had the scissor thing in there before, and then like they finished the movie and they were like, "Man, we should really give him a reason why he had these scissors," and then they're just like, "Let's make him a hairdresser."
If you look closely, every time they say the word hairstylist, it's ADR. So normally he would just be like, "I am," and then someone just goes, "Hairstylist."
It was like a Mad Lib movie.
We get our first needle drop of "I Come from a Land Down Under," which is the only time I felt joy in this film.
I liked it too.
Because I love that stupid song. I think that's by a band called Men Without Hats.
Oh, the Safety Dance guys.
I think so. No, that's Men at Work. My bad.
Yeah, it was meant doing something.
I know we're gonna talk about this later, but I definitely enjoyed some of the throwbacks in the movie. Like the music played, I was like, oh, it takes me back. Like it felt like I was a kid. Like it brought me back to the early 2000s, even though they weren't like hit songs, but it was in the vibe.
There was stuff you heard though. So then they finally hit the kangaroo, and we meet the Kangaroo Jack. And Lewis decides to put a jacket on him and take pictures because he apparently looks like Jackie Legs, who's a mobster from Brooklyn who we never
should have
see.
met.
Yeah.
Even if it was just like a kangaroo in a suit. Honestly, that would have been better.
I turned it off immediately, like as soon as the credits started rolling. So I don't know if there was like a post-credit scene where it's like, aha, there's Jackie Legs.
No.
He's built like a kangaroo, but I don't think
Until they
so.
described who Jackie Legs was, they said it in such a way, I was like, oh, that must be like a basketball player who I'm not familiar with. Like, Jackie Legs must be a celebrity or something. And then they went in and I was like, oh, okay, this is just a shitty movie. I forgot.
It's just a character.
They came at it like
knows.
you were supposed to know. And then... But that whole fucking thing was nuts, too. Can you imagine
our two
being in a
likable
car
heroes are playing with a dead body that they hit?
Yeah. You hit an animal, and at first your one buddy's like, oh, fuck. And then your other buddy's like, we got to get pictures, man. A lot of them. Put them in my sweatshirt, put your sunglasses on it, we're all going to hug it. And nobody's like, this is roadkill.
Every time Lewis takes a picture of something, he says, "G'day, mate." Every time.
It felt like Australia was something they were really hopped up on. Like, a big part
Australia
of this movie was like,
big.
we're going to go to Australia.
I'm glad you said hopped up on. I think that was the perfect... I don't know how purposeful that was, but I don't want to, like... I just want to make sure that anyone who just heard that and is listening didn't let that slide and appreciated that he said that. I just wanted to put that up there for the podcast.
And then the kangaroo comes back to life, kicks Charlie in the chest, and hops away, and we get the one line that this entire movie was pitched on, which is, the kangaroo has Salvatore Maggio's $50,000. I feel like that's just someone walked into a room, said that line, and Jerry Bruckheimer was like, all right, here's a couple million, go make it.
Yeah, I think it's wild that this movie could almost be like a weird furry spin-off of that one line from the end of Titanic where Billy Zane is like, I put the diamonds in the coat and I put the coat on the girl and now the girl is gone. You know?
Now I'm just picturing the end of Titanic with like it's just the cliffhanger. Like you see the entire Titanic, and at the end of it, a kangaroo gets away with the diamond, and Titanic just ends on a cliffhanger, setting up the sequel. I'm just so.
Where is the heart of the sea? Is it in the ocean? Is it in the old lady's hand? No, kangaroo has it.
With Kangaroo Jack.
That's how you make Kangaroo Jack great. You make it a spin-off to Titanic. I think that's what should have happened.
Or put him on the Titanic. There's already a Jack on the Titanic. Just make him a kangaroo.
And keep Leonardo DiCaprio as the voice. Keep him. For that one scene. Yeah, it was like one scene with the dreams. We'll get there, though.
I would watch a movie of Kangaroo Jack just like hopping through famous films.
He's just in the background with the jacket on. I mean, they do have a lot of just kangaroo shenanigans for no reason to fill up the runtime that's only an hour and 20 minutes.
This movie would have been 42 minutes long if, like, every 12 minutes they cut to Kangaroo Jack. It's CGI.
And he's just bouncing around, playing with his pockets, like, oh, there's a candy in there. I'm going to eat the candy. But he doesn't say that because he's a kangaroo, and they don't talk until later. Oh, God.
I also think this movie...
I was going to say, is it just me, or is the CGI for him not that bad, like for 2003?
For 2003, it's okay. And I'm probably going to bring this up later, it scared me as a child because I had a thing with CG animals that when I got older, I was like, oh, it's because the Uncanny Valley weirded me out and the CGI was usually bad. So my brain had a disconnect of like, this is a fake thing, but they're telling me it's real and it looks kind of real, but it's not. So I don't know how to describe that. So I'm just going to say scary. And Kangaroo Jack was a big one. It was like Kangaroo Jack and Dr. Dolittle 2.
It was like scene by scene for me. Like, sometimes I was really like, oh, that's fucking awful. But then there were other times I was like, oh man, that could maybe be a kangaroo.
The closer you got to his face, the less it looked like a kangaroo.
I also saw it on really shitty quality, so that might be why I was like, oh, it's not bad for 2003.
It's like a Monet painting, just from far away.
Took out my glasses, closed one eye.
I found.
They go to a bar. We get a lot of jokes about, haha, Australian slang is different from American slang, which is the same jokes you'll get at an Outback Steakhouse anywhere. And
I was bummed that they didn't die in the car crash after chasing the kangaroo.
Oh yeah, true. I forgot about the chase. Where they just go into a ravine.
This movie is it's just a rom-com for these two dum-dums. Like, it's not fleshed out that way.
No, because
there's so many times like, yeah, but like the way that they build it up the whole time with their friendship, and then they get to the end and they have like a romantic moment together.
They have a romantic... Well, we'll get to that, because Lewis says a line that explicitly makes it not romantic. So Lewis meets a wildlife girl named Jessie, who's going to help them out later. He thinks that she can find the kangaroo, but she has them hire a plane service, and the pilot is the guy who just passed out drunk in front of them. Ha 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 ha. His name's Blue.
Yeah. He could have been somebody. He could have been fun in the movie, but he only existed for a minute.
That wasn't Paul Hogan, right?
I don't know.
Like, that wasn't Crocodile Dundee, right?
Oh, no, it was not.
Okay, because the second I saw a vaguely old Australian man, I was like, they're going to have Crocodile Dundee in this somewhere, right? And then they didn't.
They mentioned Crocodile Dundee, and I was like, that's not fucking fair. You can't just come into this movie and talk about that one.
I wanted the pilot to have, like, you call that a plane? This is a plane.
Yeah,
this is the same pilot from that airplane scene where they're in the airplane, right? I know this is a stupid question, but there's not two pilots, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old Santa guy.
Is this that scene, or does that come in later?
It's coming up around next. Lewis gets a tranquilizer dart, and he is able to describe the effects of it in great detail because it's a thing you have to remember for later. It's a surprise tool that will help us later. And they're flying around. You find out Michael Shannon's going to go to Australia to kill them. And
well, they call the guy first. The guy they're supposed to deliver the money to. We find out
they call him Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
He's angry Australian mobster man. He's going to come and kill them. And then Michael Shannon's also going to come and kill them. And then we cut to more kangaroo
shenanigans. You have that whole scene with Christopher Walken is sitting in his office learning vocab words.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he has like a tape recorder that's teaching him just big words. I forgot about that. There's one point where they're in the plane and both Charlie and Lewis scream to the pilot like, Blue, Blue, watch out for that tree. And they like do the pause in a way. I think it's supposed to be a George of the Jungle joke.
That's so stupid. That's such a dumb joke.
I think like the rhythm of how they said it, I was like, was that just what I think it was?
So I had a similar thing where I'm like, is this a joke? So you know when the plane is crashing and they're like holding the thing, what is it called? Not the pedal, not the wheel, the stick, right?
The stick.
Was that supposed to be like they were at angles when I'm like, is this supposed to be like, am I just a fucking like, do I need to get my mind out of the gutter, or is this supposed to be like him grabbing his dick?
No, I think they were trying to make it a dick
joke. I remember
joke.
watching this, I'm like, it's like just subtle enough where I just might be a pervert, but I also like this movie wouldn't surprise me, so I needed to ask.
So Lewis goes to tranquilize the kangaroo, but ha ha ha, he tranquilized the pilot. Who would have guessed that the tranquilizer would come back in such a funny way?
Not a great plan. I wouldn't have given this guy a tranq gun and told him to shoot it from a plane.
Also, every time they cut to Kangaroo Jack, like his musical score, is that not just the intro to the it's the motherfucking
it's literally song? Every time I hear it, I'm like, wow, they like took that theme and they like made it so like they didn't have to pay for it.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
good.
What is the word? Like it wasn't even a sample. They were just like, we want this song. They probably couldn't like afford it, don't want to buy the rights, so they're like, let's just make our own discount Dane version of that song.
Play it on a didgeridoo.
But yeah, that bothered me every time. So the plane crashes. They set off on foot. Nobody dies. They set off on foot to
every crash.
There's so many times I was pulling for it.
There are
because I would not have been unhappy if they were like, "Man, this movie really sucks." And then in the middle, they died. Cut to black. Like, Kangaroo Jack. It's a slow silent title.
That alone,
I'm like, oh man, they really tried to do something there. That's
that would have
different.
made the movie good. I think like it wouldn't be like, oh, the shitty movie ended. It would have been like, wow, this is a really good movie. Like they had the balls to do that. Like I would, yeah.
This is brave. This is a
So
brave
subversive.
40-minute experience. Also, these two just like are going on their adventure. They're like walking around a bunch. They're doing everything.
Falling in love.
Shouldn't they be shouldn't they be jet lagged?
I mean, probably.
That's a little thing that bothered me, but I was like, you should be tired and not know what day it is.
But would the 6-year-old that wrote the script know?
What 6-year-old is writing a mafia script?
I think there's a lot of 6-year-old. Like I think I would have written a mafia script. Yeah.
A team.
A team of 6-year-olds.
Seems like a 6-year-old's understanding
Yep.
of the mafia.
They saw the one scene from Rugrats in Paris where it opens with the Bob father, and they're like, I understand everything now. Lewis and Charlie meet some dingoes, and that leads
Who
into
also
a
don't kill
sandstorm.
them.
Because they get scared by the sandstorm.
Did the
that also
sandstorm
doesn't
last like
kill
3
them.
seconds? Like, am I missing? Like, I just feel like it was like a. Okay, like it
It's
was like
very-
it was
sandstorm,
very fast.
ta-da.
It's very short and weirdly bad CGI.
Had
There's-
Sandstorm come out yet?
Yeah,
I think Sandstorm
it
was
had
like
to have.
01. I'll look it up right now. Sandstorm by
Because that's a missed opportunity.
99.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have.
I just feel like every instance, even where the wind picks up a little in a movie, they should pipe that in.
Just subtly. There's Charlie thinks he sees a mirage of
that
a truck.
scene reminded me. I
So-
swear to God, growing up as kids, there were so many like cartoons and just movies in deserts. Because I was like, wow, I remember the mirage thing being like a trope I saw in a lot of movies as a child. I don't know if that's just me, but I was like, wow, I haven't seen a mirage
Yeah.
scene in like
Yeah,
20 fucking years. So I saw that and I was like, whoa.
and like, even as a trope thing, it was always something that I was like, that's gonna happen to me before I'm an adult. Like, everyone experiences some kind of mirage.
It's like the quicksand thing.
Yeah, like John Mulaney's quicksand bit. Exactly. So they meet Jessie again, and Charlie thinks she's a mirage, so he immediately squeezes her titty. And we're all supposed to just be like, laugh that off. It's okay. She knocked him out with a pan. That's justice.
Was it?
The two characters are very unlikable.
Yeah, because they don't have any chemistry because it's a rom-com, but not between these two characters. I've never seen two people kiss more in a movie and felt like, oh wow, this is nothing. There's no.
Oh, what, Jesse and Charlie?
Yeah,
Every time you say their names,
because
I thought
he's
you
in
were
love with his
talking
best pal.
We got so when Jesse knocks Charlie out, then we get the trailer. Like, the dream sequence of talking Kangaroo Jack was was always the trailer, and like, it's what I remember most about this movie, where he sings Rapper's Delight, which is weirdly choppy. Like, you
It's the
can
movie I
hear
was
the
promised.
edits. You can hear the edits as he talks, and it's really
I
jarring.
was so. I don't think I ever saw it in theaters. I just know that, like, I never saw the full thing as a kid, but I just remember being so fucking angry that he did not talk. I don't know when the last time I
Yes!
felt so betrayed by a movie was, but I remember when you guys said like Kangaroo Jack. Oh, that's like the first thing that came to mind. I was like, wow, fuck that movie. Like, I just needed to like get that, like, that's something I could talk about in therapy.
And then they
When
told
was the
us
first
Kangaroo was
time you
gonna
felt
talk.
betrayed? Kangaroo Jack. Uh, let's see. There's kangaroo that talks like Anthony Anderson, and one talks like Christopher Walken, and then they all gang up on him saying chicken blood, chicken blood, chicken blood, and I was like, okay, well, my younger self was right. This is horrifying. Like, that's one of the scariest things I've seen in ages. Is just a gang of CG kangaroos chanting chicken blood at me.
The movie could have benefited from more of it.
Sandstorm in the background. Just
so
chicken.
just a weird undertone of horror the whole time. We
We're
get
writing Kangaroo Jack fan fiction.
the reboot is Kangaroo Jackson. That's how it's more serious. Okay, that joke didn't work. So Mr. Smith meets Blue the pilot. I thought he killed him, but he didn't. He just picks him up. And Lewis and Charlie ride on some camels with Jesse to get some exposition and farts.
Camel
Farts. Yeah. Nice.
A whole lot of farts.
Yeah, so I found this movie on DVD at my parents' house. That's how I watched it. And on the extras, in the features, there's a whole extra feature about sound mixing camel farts.
How did they, is there like a technique?
Which
to
is
it?
like somebody's claim to fame. I don't know.
How
I
did
didn't
they
watch
do
it.
Well, you should.
I saw that it was
I'm
on
gonna-
there.
I'm gonna try to see if it's on YouTube and put it on the Twitter.
Also, I'm like Googling this because like for some
Um,
reason like is it just me or do like camels and kangaroos have similar faces?
A little bit. I think
feel that.
I've never
camels
thought
are more
about it
like
before.
camels are a little more like round, and kangaroos are a little more like triangle.
Yeah, it's like crocodiles and alligators, but one
If you
is
take
like
just the
kangaroo.
like head snout area.
Hmm. God, there's some good nostalgic stuff on the soundtrack. There's one point where they're trying to capture Jack at a watering hole, and Lewis screws it up again because a bunch of ants crawl up and bite him on the dick.
Yeah, man, those
And
ants are
he
eating
makes a
his
big
balls.
deal. He makes a huge deal about ants eating his balls, and they're like, "Why can't you be quiet for once?" And he's like, "They
I'm
are
Ants in
eating
my balls,
my
Johnson."
balls."
Yeah.
um,
I also thought it was
but it's
weird.
okay.
They're there chasing the kangaroo, and Jesse's like, "We gotta get rid of our scent," and so they put some
So we
mysterious
put on
paste on them.
weird tribal paint.
Yeah, but the two guys like gotta take off their shirts and put the paint all over them. But Jesse like doesn't need to. So what is the rule of scent? How does the scent work for her? Does she not have man scent? Are kangaroos looking for man scent?
The rule
Or
the rule is if she had no shirt, it wouldn't be PG, and then
know.
no adult would choose to see this movie.
I would argue that more adults would see this movie if there were more shirtless scenes.
So then Charlie and Jesse have a river bath makeout session, and Lewis ruins it because haha, and just nothing is happening.
Charlie seems surprised that she is not like immediately on board when they get in the bath. And I think that's wild. I think that you can like your first interaction with this girl is you're like, "Oh, hello," and you just like grab her
Honka
tits.
honka.
And then a scene later you're like, "Why doesn't she want to make out with me in the tub?" You know, like
But then Mr. Smith finds them, gasp. And Charlie and Lewis end up getting the drop on them by Lewis saying something about him being a Little League pitcher.
that was the only time I laughed organically.
And they called
during
him, like,
this speech. when he said all the shit, and then he was like, it translates to big black guy pretending to be a 12-year-old. And I was like, okay, well, stupid, but you got me.
Yeah. Well, and during that, the music is the other instance of movie music. It's the music to The Natural,
Ah.
which I only know that that's that music because of countless Simpsons episodes playing it, and eventually someone was like, oh, that's the music from The Natural. I'm like, okay. But that was just a weird thing that happened again. I'm like, did you just want to make the entire score different movie scores? I would have been probably more entertained trying to guess, like, which one was this? Then we go back to more kangaroo shenanigans where Kangaroo Jack eats spicy candy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like it. Ha ha ha. Which I almost Googled, do kangaroos have the same taste buds as humans?
I don't know, but
'Cause
I've never seen a hot ball that large.
It was a really big hot ball. It was like extra atomic.
Something fictional.
I googled can kangaroos taste spice, and all of the answers are about eating kangaroos.
Will they soak it up?
I
Will you be
definitely
able to
have no
taste the
problem
spice
eating a
in them?
kangaroo, especially after seeing this movie. I would eat it just in fucking like out of anger. Like I'd be like, this is for that fucking movie.
This is for Jack.
I was hoping I could get some delivered.
So after that,
Everybody is together, and they're all, this is the time where it's all everything's out in the open, and here's all the characters fighting, and then Kangaroo Jack also shows up because of the hot ball, but so many people are holding guns, and nobody knows what to do. Nobody's plan is like, that kangaroo has $50,000. Nobody's like, shoot it with your gun. Everybody's like, gotta punch the guy next to me.
there is a good line of Michael Shannon, again, being cut and paste from a different movie, yells at Mr. Smith being like, you made me come down here to the sphincter of the galaxy.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not an Australia insult. I've never heard that before.
The last
It
20
just sounds
minutes.
like a Guardian of the Galaxy porn parody.
Yeah.
Sphincters of the Galaxy.
Then there's a chase, and Lewis almost falls off a cliff, but he doesn't. Charlie saves his life, so they're finally
With
even.
the belt from Twister. That's that movie with the storm chasing, right?
That's the one with the one with the cow, right? That's the one with the classic scene with the cow and the.
I don't understand how it's a
so.
Twister thing, but
yeah, at the end of that movie, where they're all the storm chasers, they've been looking for the big F5 tornado the whole time, and then it comes to the farm where they're at, and then who's that in that movie?
Philip Seymour Hoffman?
No, younger guy.
Bill Pullman?
Yeah. It's Bill Pullman and Helen Hunt, and there's this huge, it's like the biggest tornado on the scale is coming towards them, and then he wraps his like Kmart belt around the both of them, and then attaches it to the fence, and they hold onto it, and they ride out the tornado. And this is the same belt, I swear, like that pulls this big man up from the cliff.
Weirdly specific reference, but okay, I'll take it.
I stand by it.
This thing played the theme from Superman and The Natural, so like, I don't doubt it. The day is saved by Michael Shannon's tour guide was a cop the whole time, which is just a twist that no one cared about.
Yeah, I didn't even care about the main characters, like let alone people we met for a scene.
Let alone tour guide Jim, I think his name was.
He definitely yelled it. And then he shot at the helicopter. Like, this police helicopter shows up. It's like, it's over. We got you surrounded. And Michael Shannon's like, I've got it. I know what to do. And he misses. He misses the shot. Gun. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then this is when Lewis and Charlie hug, and Lewis screams, We are having a very intimate, non-gay moment.
And I would
Says it
submit
very loud.
that it was a gay moment.
It seemed.
This
But
movie
it's
is a
2000
coward.
It's 2003, so they're scared to act on anything. They get the jacket back from the kangaroo. There's a family to kick Charlie again. Ha ha ha. Everybody laughs together. Ha 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 ha. So now Charlie is a shampoo tycoon because the fruity pebble berries make good shampoo.
Yeah, that checks out.
So he has a yacht.
A yacht
And he's
with so many people on it. They pan away in the camera, and it's full of random people.
I didn't
I think
notice that.
they're the same people from the beginning.
Why are
of the
they
beach.
there?
They're all
Who
grown
are
up. They're
they?
like, you were there when this all
He's
started.
also married to Jessie.
We want you to be here when it's
Good
over.
for them.
Lazily walking towards where the boy was drowning.
You almost witnessed a death. Come onto our yacht. And that should be the end of it. But then it just ends with talking Kangaroo Jack doing bullshit.
Yeah, it felt like a big middle finger. They were like, we know that you signed up for this.
He does a Dr. Evil impression. He pokes his head through the Looney Tune rings to
You
say
saw
that's
what
all
this movie
blokes.
could have been.
I don't know why they just threw that in at the end, because I guess they're like children only remember 20 seconds of something, so if we make them laugh at the end.
I feel like this movie is a metaphor for growing up. Like, as a kid, you think it's going to be awesome, but then you get there and you're just like, it was like a talking kangaroo for like 30 seconds. Everything else is fucking shit.
That's it. That's Kangaroo Jack. I think we all know our answer to is it better or worse than the pacifier, but let's go through the criteria first. How's the soundtrack? It's full of a lot of late 90s, early 2000s pop garbage, so I loved it.
Yeah, there's some fun old stuff in there.
It's got to remember
Soak Up the Sun at the end, yeah.
I'll take
a lot of didgeridoo.
The soundtrack, but I think the score, I'll take the pacifier score. It was very generic. It was just the amount of like, it reminded me of like a generic Marvel movie score. I was like, all right, like it's doing its job.
We'll give it the points because it needs it.
Where does the main actor land on the dieselometer? This one was hard for me because I couldn't think of anything of Vin Diesel's that I hated as much and was as charmless as Jerry O'Connell in this.
Yeah, it was scraping the bottom of the barrel. I had to look at the filmography, and then it came to me. I went, "This is the Vin Diesel specifically from the Universal Studios ride, the bad CG that they recorded.
Oh my God,
That's
Supercharged!
Just terrible. That there's no redeeming parts of."
Wait, did you go on Fast and Furious Supercharged?
No, I've just seen the videos.
It opened when I was down there working, so I went within like the first month of operation, and you have never been on a more miserable experience.
I was trying to find something. I was like, oh man, maybe it could be like a Tokyo Drift thing where he's only there for a little bit, and that's the worst one of the franchise. But like, there were some fun moments in that movie. Car go fast still. Like.
Yeah, no, now that you say it, I completely agree with it's on the Supercharged level.
I'm not super familiar with Vin Diesel's line of work, but I can tell you I can't imagine there's a fucking movie he was in that's worse than this. So,
did I like it as a kid, or would I have liked it as a kid? As I said, fear of the uncanny valley from seeing this trailer before the Wild Thornberrys movie. Didn't see it as a kid, didn't want to see it as a kid, scared of the kangaroo.
Yeah, nope, didn't like it, still don't like it. I have always felt slighted by the lack of talking kangaroo. That's the hill I'll die on.
This movie only added to my trust issues, so.
I remember right after it came out, we almost watched it at a sleepover party, but then I was like, I don't know about this, so we watched Attack of the Clones instead,
That's awesome.
which is a slight upgrade.
Now I wish we watched any Star Wars. Like I would have taken episode 9, and I fucking hate episode. I would have taken any Star Wars movie over Kangaroo Jack.
Oh, I don't.
I
I'm
think
scared of.
I think I know what I'm gonna give you guys next.
Oh, God,
Oh, no.
Don't give us Rise of Skywalker, please.
We'll wait. Not
Unless you want a
Skywalker.
6-hour episode
I
of
don't-
me
I
just
don't wanna
going,
give you
it
guys Rise
undoes
of
everything
Skywalker.
good. What has the director gone on to do? Not much.
Oh yeah.
This is directed
yeah.
by David McNally. He went on to do a TV movie called The Apostles, a couple episodes of something called Justice, the CW's Beauty and the Beast TV show from 2015.
I got nothing on any of that.
Yeah, it really wasn't. Nothing really connected.
Nothing. Yeah, this definitely like ruined his career. I'm surprised he got anything after this. Like even just TV roles.
Well, and he only had one
He
movie
didn't show
before
up to the
this.
interviews, and they went, "You're the Kangaroo Jack guy, aren't you?"
He had Coyote Ugly right before this, which I don't know if that's good or not.
People really like that one.
I've heard some people love it for its campiness, but like, is there anything as memorable as the Peter Panda dance / song from the Pacifier?
I would have to say Kangaroo Jack talking just because.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Because that's the only
that's
thing
right.
you remember.
Exactly.
Who's the Brad Garrett of this movie? Christopher Walken, right?
When we say who's the
Like,
Brad
it's
Garrett,
got-
what are we like? How are we judging Brad Garrett's character? Like in what way?
Brad Garrett's character in The Pacifier is just a memorably strange side character who doesn't really get much growth, but is kind of just there and says weird stuff, and you always think about him.
I'd say it's a toss up between Walken and Blue, the pilot.
I'd
Okay.
give it to Blue because give it to Blue because Walken didn't strike me as like weird. He just struck me as Walken. Like it was just like this is Christopher Walken like phoning it in for a paycheck.
Yeah.
Whereas the
Yeah.
pilot, he like seemed like he was really trying with his role. Like I think he's the only one who put like real effort into that movie.
Kangaroo did.
Kangaroo, yeah. Okay.
And is there anything as batshit crazy as the Sound of Music subplot in The Pacifier, which, in case you forgot, is one scene in The Pacifier where they believe the young boy is a Nazi. Vin Diesel follows him and finds out that he's actually just playing Rolf in The Sound of Music.
I was so glad that was in it because like rewatching it, I was like, this is like first of all, it started with the Disney opening. I forgot that Pacifier was a Disney movie, so like that was just. But I'm gonna say anything as crazy as that. No, like Kangaroo Jack, like talking wasn't great. Like it just because like that was like not a boundary push, but that was like, oh wow, like that's a weird thing to put in the middle of Pacifier. Where like Kangaroo Jack, everything was kind of Kangaroo Jack. Like I was never like surprised.
I think the ending might hit it for me though. Like when Kangaroo Jack talks at the very end, and he's just like, "I thought this was about me. Oh, listen to me be Dr. Evil."
I got a different one.
What's your different one?
I say, right after Michael Shannon is caught by the cops, they're putting him in the car, and he goes nuts. And this whole movie has been like very much PG. You know, they're taking a bath, wearing their clothes, and nothing's happening outside of fart jokes. And all of a sudden, Michael Shannon is swearing and he's throwing out slurs. He's telling him he's going to wear their eyeballs as jewelry. And then they just put him in the car and it's over. It goes away.
The MPAA was cool with the whole R slur though. Like, Mike TV says it in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory remake, and that
It's
got
a
a
different.
PG.
It's also
Different
been
times,
17
unfortunately.
years since then. I mean,
Mhm.
not that it's
Yeah,
okay,
no,
but
It's
happened.
not.
no, that's not where I'm going with it. Yeah, it just definitely happened.
That's the 2000s.
So Luke, what was your nonsense rating for this one?
This movie is the sphincter of the universe.
I gave it one walk-in monologue out of 5. Much worse than The Pacifier.
Yeah,
My rating for this is
Tom?
I'm literally like, I swear to God, like I'm Googling kangaroo meat. Like that's how much I fucking hated this movie. Like I found kangaroo jerky and I'm like, I might actually do this. So that's my rating. I want to eat the animal in this movie because I hated that movie so much.
Well, wow.
I stand by
that's
it.
that.
That's
Only
fair.
$2.50.
I'm hoping this is the worst thing.
Yeah,
we
I don't
ever
want to
cover
give you
on the
guys
show.
anything bad. Like I don't. I'm. Who gave this to you? Like they're not your friend. Whoever they.
Sorry,
well,
Corey.
speaking
We
of that-
hated it.
Speaking of that, it's time to play the Coming Attractions game, where Tom has a movie for us and he'll give us some hints and we'll try to guess it. Like last week, I'm going to try to abstain if I know it immediately.
Right, I've got the movie. Should we like 20 questions it? Do I give clues?
Yeah, just hints, like just any hint you can about it. Some of the past have been the year it was released, what the genre is. One
Asian merchant trope. I'll start there. Asian merchant trope.
Oh, I think I know it.
Already?
I mean, maybe. Is it before the 2000s?
Yes, it's before the 2000s. I want to give like the decade, but I'll tell you this, it's not 90s.
Then yeah, I got it.
You got it? All right, yeah.
Is it a Christmas movie?
Yeah, it's my favorite Christmas movie.
Is it Gremlins?
Gremlins.
Oh God, I've never seen Gremlins. I've been too freaked out by it.
Gremlins
I'm
is
excited.
fucking great. It's amazing.
I'm really excited.
I really.
All
hope
right,
you
well.
like it. I mean, I really don't think Gremlins is a scary movie. It's just
Mhm.
a fucking crazy, like, it's gross. Like you see like gross stuff, but it's not spooky.
Well, Tom, thank you for coming on
Yeah.
as a guest.
Thank you for
Hope you
having
had
me.
fun.
Like, yeah, it was everything
Yeah, it was
after
fun.
Kangaroo Jack was fun. Like everything after watching the movie. Like this podcast was great. The homework was like. Next time, give me the movie before. Like next time, be like, "Hey, we're watching this movie. Do you want to do the podcast?"
You'll decide, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be like, "All right, let's."
All right, well, this has been our episode on Kangaroo Jack. Thank you very much for listening, and tune in next week where another surprise guest is going to talk Gremlins with us. For No Highway Option, I've been Connor.
And I've been Luke.
I'm
And
Tom.
if you-
I can't.
No, you and Tom's been Tom.
Fuck me.
And these have all been our opinions. And if you didn't agree with us, which you honestly should have, because Kangaroo Jack is a disaster,
Yeah, this is an easy
that's
one.
too bad, because it is our way.
No highway
option.
No highway option.
It's a word. One of these days, we will get the exit thing.